if you keep going this way, you may not need surgery. I think we should just go in this direction
Mhm.
until you can't do any more on your own." And she said to me, she's like, "I want to do it this way without doing surgery. I want to keep trying it this way." And to me, that was amazing. That was probably one of the best things I'd ever
Uh-huh.
heard from any client without ever having to put them under the knife.
Welcome to the Beauty Talk podcast, where we feature how the best medical practitioners help their patients to look better, younger, and healthier. Now, enjoy the show, and here's your host.
Daniel Gao here. I'm the host of Beauty Talk, where we feature the top medical practitioners in health and beauty, both inside and out. I have Dr. Chris Morgan of YBL Medical Group, who has been in practice for 13 years in the field of bariatric surgery and medicine. 4 years ago, he started YBL Medical Group as one of the co-founders, and he has just started a new venture called Aesthetic Med Spa and Surgical Institute. So Dr. Morgan, welcome and glad to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's dive right into it. Tell me, how did you first get interested in medicine?
So my interest in medicine started when I was a kid. Growing up, I was always interested in the sciences, and so it was a combination of preparation, knowing what I wanted, and having the right things happen at the right time. When I was a kid, I played a lot of sports, mainly soccer, and when I was playing youth soccer, I started having issues with my knees, which required my seeing an orthopedic surgeon. Over the course of my treatment with him and my appointments, the one thing that I was really terrified of happening was having to go in the OR and be under the knife. And as I was being treated further and further along, his approach was more of very conservative. So let's just wait and see. We're not going to rush the surgery. Let's wait and see. A lot of times kids grow out of this. So I really appreciated that. It gave you a real sense of comfort. So as I progressed through this, I learned a lot about the anatomy, a lot about medicine, became, of course, more familiar with the hospital setting and sort of how the process worked. And that really continued to reinforce that maybe this is the direction that I wanted to go. Now, each step along the way, I never had any experiences that made me think I should choose another career and profession, and I enjoyed myself each step along the way. So everything just sort of evolved very naturally and very easily, and here today now.
Got it. Now, you also have experience in bariatric surgery, so please talk a little bit more about how you got into bariatric surgery.
So I initially started my training in orthopedic surgery, and this is another one of those serendipitous moments. The group that I work with now, and I started working with was back in 2010, 2011, it's West Medical. One of the co-founders of that practice, I literally just happened to be just finished playing a round of golf with a friend of mine, went to lunch. There was one open table left, and one of the surgeons was sitting there at the table. My buddy and I, who is also a surgeon, we asked if we could join him, and just got to chatting, and sort of one thing led to another. He had just started the practice, and that's sort of how I became involved. I operated with the group, did new patient consultations, still do post-op follow-ups for them. And, like I said, a lot of my flow and my transition through this field has really afforded me the opportunity to see a lot, experience a lot, help a lot of people in lots of different ways that I never would have imagined that I'd be doing. But this has been very, each step along the way, each patient encounter that I have had has been very fulfilling, but especially in the area of weight loss medicine. And I think that's probably one of the most rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that's because I like to stay fit myself, and stay very active, so I can, as best as possible or as much as possible, impart my own experience and advice sort of outside the scope of medicine to help these people pursue their health goals and maintain them.
Got it. Now, within your practice, you offer a lot of different services. Can you discuss some of the most popular treatments that your patients come to you for? And also, why do you think that they're so popular?
Okay, so I guess the best way for me to break it down would be in the with respect to the bariatric medicine. So outside of the actual surgery itself, diet information and exercise information, those are the two main ones. And those are the things that we encourage patients prior to even getting surgery to begin doing, so that it makes the post-surgical process a lot smoother and a lot more successful, or helps ensure more success for them afterwards. So, I like to, I eat pretty healthy myself. I try to eat healthy. Now, I'm not very strict about it all the time. I do believe there has to be balance, and you have to enjoy yourself when you eat. But I try to let my, and a lot of patients I realize get very wrapped up in it. They get very stressed. Remind them, just relax. Life is meant to be enjoyed. There are going to be special occasions, birthdays, holidays, you name it. As long as every day is not a special occasion, you're good. So have a piece of cake, eat a cookie. It's okay. Just make sure you're mostly eating the good stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
Then even with the exercise, a lot of our patients aren't really exercising, haven't developed that habit. And I think in their enthusiasm about trying to get the weight to come off, they want to do the boot camps, very intense like physical exercise, but that type of thing, it's baby steps. Even with their diet, I recommend just baby steps. So a little bit of time makes small changes, you'll be able to maintain them much longer. And I've found that the patients that do take that advice, they do relax through it, they see the changes themselves, and it really gives them their own momentum to keep going further and further. So I've seen a lot of people have amazing success with it. Now, with the cosmetic type procedures, I would say that's, to be honest with you, I can't really say that there's one particular procedure that patients like the most or ask for the most. I actually prefer it that way, because I like to see each patient, regardless of what I'm helping them with, on an individual basis. So if it's, let's say it's Botox, whether it's IV fluid therapy, whether it's Morpheus 8, whether it's advice about bariatric, advice about exercise, advice about diet, if the advice that I give for whatever I do helps that particular patient, then I find it successful. So, but I've seen a whole range of things that people love and have appreciated and have come back and asked for.
Got it. Now, I want to bring up the micro art that you do. Can you tell me a bit more about what you do with micro art?
Yes. So Micro Art is a company. It's here in Beverly Hills. They do semi-permanent makeup for clients. So ranging from eyebrow work to they'll do semi-permanent makeup to give more color to the lips. She does a lot of corrective surgery on patients who have had maybe breast cancer, maybe areola tattoos, to reconstruct or make it look more natural. She does some tattoo cover-ups, but the clients that I work most closely with this company are the vitiligo patients. So for those clients, I give a little bit of local anesthetic so that the micro artists are able to do their work more comfortably for the clients.
Got it. Now, you talked about a lot of different services that you provide.
Sure.
Are there any new or emerging treatments that you're particularly excited about?
So I think the most exciting advancements have been our work with the InMode, the aesthetics company, the medical aesthetics company. We are just getting on board with doing a lot more treatments with Morpheus 8. So that's part of their Evolve, or one of their platforms, particularly is called the Evolve platform. So in this machine, there is a device for tightening the skin, device for toning the muscle, as well as a combination of tightening and toning. This uses a lot of radio frequency energy to help remodel the collagen in the skin and to get a lot tighter, more youthful appearance. So that's been great. A lot of people have been asking for that, and we're getting it out there. The company's been in business for several years now, and it's had a lot of success. It's becoming more and more well-known now. A lot more people are familiar with the Morpheus 8 device, which is a microneedling device.
Got it. Okay, now I want to switch over and talk a little bit about your practice, YBL Medical Group. How did you first end up starting YBL Medical Group?
This is one of those ventures that dovetailed out of other medical experiences. So my nurse partner and co-founder is Natasha Mandelman. And we met while we were both working at West Medical. She specializes in sclerotherapy and varicose-vein treatment. And we've been great friends for years and years now. And we'd always thought about doing something together. And the catalyst for getting YBL started was actually COVID pandemic. We actually started. We knew we wanted to do something in the realm of IV fluid or IV drip therapy. We started off heavily with doing a lot of COVID testing for a lot of some celebrities, studios, musicians, and anybody who basically needed it. But we just brought the testing to them, made it very convenient, and it just kind of snowballed from there, doing fluid therapy, does Botox, and we're still expanding. We're still kind of a new venture, and there's a lot more to come.
Got it. Now, I think part of the differentiating factor in your practice is that you bring the service right to them instead of people having it to you. So some other differentiators that you think really sets apart your practice from others in the industry?
It would be hard for me to say because I would be able to answer that more, I think, completely if I knew the ins and outs of how other companies work or other people ran their practices. I just know that from Natasha myself, we really take pride in giving all of ourselves to each of our clients that we interact with. I call ourselves, we're like an artisanal, medical group. So the patients that we interact with, they know us, they know they can contact us, they know that if they need anything, we'll be there to answer the questions. They're not going to be pushed off to some answering service or somebody else who can't answer the questions that they need or get the advice that they need. So and especially I have to say with Natasha too, she's got a very, very sweet personality, very, very knowledgeable. Just as an example, even though I'm in the profession and I work with needles all the time, I don't like to be under a needle, but she's one person who I trust with a needle anytime, anywhere. It's so I think that with our group, you're going to get the best there. You're not going to, and it's going to be very thorough, always very, and we never overpromise anything that we're able to do for any patient.
Okay, got it. Now, you mentioned kind of as the practice first started was during COVID, doing the COVID testing, and then now you started to transition to include aesthetics more in the practice.
Correct.
So can you talk a little bit more about what led you to include more aesthetics and how your practice evolved in that direction?
Sure. So, there are a lot of companies out and a lot of medical practices that are offering what we offer. We're not necessarily unique in that way. I think the way we offer our services is probably a little bit more unique than a lot of other places, I would imagine. But in working with these clients, a lot of people have mentioned some of the treatments that they wanted, specifically more of the Botox, more of these Morpheus 8 type treatments, the microneedling. And we have known Dr. Matlock here at Beverly Hills for several years now, both working with him and people who work with him. So we started up the venture with the aesthetic medical spa and surgical institute. He asked us to join with him with one of the doctors, Dr. David Orton Andrew Orton is one of the other doctors, and Dr. Karen. We all bring our own touches to the aspects of our own practices to this venture to offer more of a complete all-around medical service. So no matter who you come to, you always have something. This was me. No matter what any patient needs, you'll be able to find it here with us. And like I said, here, and as you may know, here in LA, here in Beverly Hills, all over the country, everybody cares about what they look like. People are very aware and tuned with maintaining their youthful appearances and feeling good, looking good. So we wanted to be able to offer that as well, all of our clients.
Got it. Okay. Now, how would you say that you would approach educating your clients and your patients about the services you offer and the benefits, particularly since it seems like you're mixing a bit more of the wellness also with the aesthetic side?
I think it starts, and I don't want to really speak for anybody else, but for myself, I like the approach of under promising and over delivering. I don't like to promise the world to any patient. I don't think that's very realistic.
Mhm.
I think education starts with first seeing, listening to a patient, seeing what they want, then see if we're able to even offer it. And then within the scope of what they want, letting them know what, not necessarily what they really need, but what will be best for them in terms of their long-term outcomes. Many patients want things that are not necessarily good for them or not helpful for them, and they'll do anything that they can to get what they want, regardless of what the eventual outcome may be. So I like to let people know more so what could happen if things aren't done properly, rather than say, yeah, I can offer it to you. I can give you exactly what you want, and then have something happen to them down the line, because I would never want to have anybody be in a position where, they're hurt or harmed in any way. That it just wouldn't, it's not worth it. It's
Yeah.
just not worth it at all.
Yeah. Okay. Now, you talked about patients coming in and asking for something in particular, and it may or may not be realistic. But what are some common misconceptions that you get from patients and clients coming in about the treatments that you offer? What are some of those common misconceptions that people have?
So I'd say I think the best example I could use for that would be the patients who come in for bariatric surgery. All the surgeons who work in the practice will tell literally every patient, that surgery is just a tool to help with their weight loss journey. It's not going to be a quick fix. So that involves, when having surgery, doing the lifestyle or making lifestyle changes afterwards, eating healthy consistently and exercising consistently. A good number of patients get it, they understand. A large number actually choose to hear what they want to hear. So then when you are now doing the post-op follow-ups, talking to a lot of these patients, they're surprised that they're not losing weight, or they have to say, well, the surgery didn't work. I ask them key questions because, after doing this for a while, the questions are going to ask what they ask, but then, kind of doing a little bit of investigating, you find out that they're not doing the things that they're supposed to. So, for me, it's really, really important, patient consultations, and with anything else, to let the clients know you have to do, these are the things that are expected afterwards, because when you're actually with any physician, you're only with them for a fraction of the time of your entire experience, and then once you're at home, no surgeon or no physician can never watch over you all the time. So it's a matter of really instilling these good habits, helping develop these good habits ahead of time, and reinforcing them each step along the way, so that they're able to maintain or achieve the success they want. I like to, specifically for the weight loss. So I've seen a lot of patients, coming in thinking that these are like a quick fix, and then sometimes being disappointed that. And also too, I don't like to really tie any rigid expectations to any particular type of procedure, because everybody's so individualized. No patient is cookie cutter, regardless of any type of procedure or surgery that they have. So you have to let them know what's realistic and possible within the scope of them as an individual.
Got it. Okay. Now, we're talking about the bariatric surgery. So can you talk a little bit about how you balance providing that relaxing experience for your patient, but also at the same time ensuring their safety and well-being?
Okay, sure. Like I said, a lot of these patients are very rigid about their weight loss. We have some morbidly obese patients who, they want to lose all the weight right away, and it's understandable. But a lot of patients don't realize that it took time to get to the place where they are in need of any type of surgery. So one of the first things I do is, I remind patients is that we as physicians and surgeons, and like I said, this is any bariatric practice, what we really do is it's the equivalent of going 100 miles an hour in one direction. What we do with surgery is we're helping you put the brakes on to slow down, to gradually make a U-turn and come the other direction. Now, building the momentum is everything that you do after the surgery in terms of eating healthy, the exercising. So, I try to put it in terms that they can understand so that they don't think that, boom, they have the surgery, next week they're going to lose 50 pounds.
Yeah.
They say, I let them know this is going to take time. You have to ease through it. A lot of patients use like 1 year as the mark for determining how successful they are with it. And more often than not, I have to tell them you can't just measure this in a year. This is a lifetime change that you have to maintain. So don't try to make all the changes in a year. You have to relax through the process. And actually, the patients I found done most spectacularly are the ones who have actually relaxed through the process. They haven't been too strict about their diet. They've been good about it, but they haven't been super rigid. Or the patients who will increase their exercise. They're not exercise fanatics necessarily, but they're more consistent, than not. And a lot of times, ones who don't do as well are the ones who are just too tense. So a lot of it is, we follow up with them every time I talk to them, remind them the same thing. You're doing great, you're doing fine, whether you lose 1 pound or 10 pounds. As long as there's a negative sign in front of the number, I'm happy because it's moving in the right direction. So, and naturally too, I think a lot of them feel that if they gained a pound or two here or there, that I'm going to be disappointed in them. And I tell them it's fine. You're not doing this for me. I'm not disappointed. Either way, I'm going to be here to help you to achieve what you need to achieve. So, any questions you have, any advice, we'll try things until something works. We'll find the thing that works for you. And if I can't provide any advice that's going to help move the needle for them, then I'll try to point them in the right direction to somebody who can help them.
Got it. Now, when people think about medicine, they think about it's this straightforward, step-by-step protocol, procedure that goes into it. But what would you say, what role does creativity play in particularly your approach to patient care?
A lot of patient care and treatment involves, I think, listening. If you listen to what people are saying, you can tell exactly whether, it's an actual physical issue that they're having, or if there's psychological, and I don't mean that negative connotation, but is it on their mind, or is it something that's really going on? So if you see and investigate, talk with them, you kind of tweak it as you go along. And the best analogy is like, NASA launching a rocket to the moon. They know where they want to go with it. They know the end goal, but each step along the way, they're kind of fine-tuning things as you go along. And the same thing is sort of in medicine. You know the eventual outcome that you want to have for any procedure you're doing, but each step along the way, you have to assess, reassess more. Things go smoothly. Sometimes things may not go as smoothly. How do you adjust, adapt as you move forward? So a lot of it is creativity. You definitely have to see what's in front of you and deal with it as you get it. And when things go great, they go great.
Yeah.
And things need a little bit more attention. You give it that attention.
Yeah. Now, dealing of situations that need more attention, I'm sure you've had some particularly challenging cases throughout your career. So could you maybe talk about one story where you were faced with a particularly challenging case, and how in the end you were able to get them a successful outcome?
It's hard to pick one. I think one of the ones that I think that pops up, that comes up, or comes to my mind most would be, there's a patient who had the surgery, she had weight loss surgery, and she just wasn't doing well at all. She was eating all kinds of bad stuff. I mean, just not even trying.
Yeah.
And over the course of several months, after following up for month, she just still wasn't doing the things that she needed to do. No matter what I suggested. She was making a lot of excuses. So, it was tough because I don't know how to get through to her. I'm making everything as simple as possible. I'm giving her specific advice about what to do and how to do it and how to approach it. We have dietitians who work with these patients who can walk them through it. I give them my dietary advice, which is nowhere near as in-depth as what a dietitian could do. Give her exercise advice. She wasn't going. She said a lot of patients say they walk for their exercise, which is wonderful.
Mhm.
Everybody needs to do it, but it's not the same as really getting your heart rate up all the time. You don't necessarily have to go into a gym. The gym's not for everyone.
Yeah.
So with this particular patient, I told her, look, what I want you to do is to just walk around the block. When you get home, walk around the block in the evening. Don't do any more than that. Just do it a couple times. And then I told her, what I want you to do now is put ankle weights on or a weighted vest and do that. Do that for a month. The next month, do 2 blocks with a weighted vest. But give yourself a specific time limit. I want you to, just really be pushing it. So she made these gradual changes and the weight started coming off and she was seeing the results, and her seeing that happen by her own effort really encouraged and motivated her to do even more. And so now it's just second nature, and now she's even more motivated to do it by herself and go further and do more exercise. And I was really happy seeing that because it really wasn't so much my help that did it. I think she was able to sort of see it in herself and then continue it forward. And I'd also say one of the best examples of that is another patient I had came in for an evaluation, a consultation for weight loss, and she was really young, like early 20s, but she was much wider than she was tall, and she had a young girl, a young child, and she couldn't get around the grocery store without having to use one of those electric scooters. So, prior to operating, this is several years back now, but what we always did was do like a 6-month pre-op, basically trial where you change all your eating habits and your exercise habits. So I told her, it's okay, look, for the first week, I just want you to eat this particular thing. Change this one thing in your diet, don't change anything else. Yeah. And then this is the type of exercise you want to do. Her follow-up the following month, she had lost 10 pounds. I was like, oh, that's wonderful, So now change this second thing and then add this to the exercise routine. But it's like really minute changes. She did that. She came back the next month. She had lost another 14 pounds. So I asked the staff, before I saw this patient, I said, is she okay? Is she eating? That's a lot of weight that she's lost without having surgery. And they're like, no, she's good. I said, all right. So spoke with her. She said she made those changes. I said, okay, let's go to the third month. Make these other small changes, your diet, your exercise. She did it again. She lost another 14 pounds. By the time she came back for her fourth pre-op follow-up or evaluation, I said to her, and she started looking great. I said, if you keep going this way, you may not need surgery. I think we should just go in this direction until you can't do any more on your own. And she said to me, she's like, I want to do it this way without doing surgery. I want to keep trying it this way. And to me, that was amazing. That was probably one of the best things I had ever heard from any private ever without ever having to put them under the knife.
Yeah, now that's a fantastic story. I mean, particularly it's just, you think about it, you break it down. I think a lot of people that they have this insurmountable obstacle that they think they have to overcome. But if you just break it down bit by bit, hey, you just change one thing, and then over time it's going to compound, and you're going to see those results just like your patients did. So,
absolutely. Yeah, and there's one client I remember we had. He's an actor, and he's the type of person we may not know by name, but if you saw his face, you're like, hey, I know that guy from somewhere. And again, he was getting roles as a bigger person, or at his bigger size. And then he started losing the weight. And again, one of the things I told him was just get in the pool and swim. You don't have to be Michael Phelps, just keep moving, And some time passed, probably, let's say about a year or so, and kind of escaped my mind a little bit, and he came back, and they told me that he was in the waiting room waiting. I looked in the waiting room, where is he? Didn't see him. They're like, that's him over there. It's like, what? So I brought him back, and we were talking, and he says, and he looked phenomenal, completely different person. And I said, well, what have you been doing? He said, oh, I've just been swimming like you told me to. I said, oh, that's amazing. And he said, I've been getting a lot more roles, and basically working out, and my manager has all these different jobs. He's like, but he still saw himself as a bigger person. And he said, and I think he started doubting himself once he actually lost weight, but like, no, just say yes to everything, man. Like you earned it, and you're clearly good enough that people want you, and and so when I see things like that, it really is encouraging for me to want to do more, or at least try to get through more to a lot of patients that way.
Got it. Yeah, those are all fantastic stories. I mean, people who just thought in the beginning that they had to do surgery or that was the only option, and then you give them some good advice, and then they're able to turn their lives around. So
right, absolutely
fantastic. Now, Dr. Morgan, I have one last question for you, but before I ask it, I want to point people to your website at www.yblmedicalgroup.com.
Correct.
My last question is, what is the most important piece of advice you could give to someone who's maybe thinking about getting some type of aesthetic procedure done, whether it's maybe like Botox or laser treatment or even bariatric surgery, but isn't sure which provider to choose?
The best thing to do is do your research. You want to look at the credentials and the background of the people you're working with. If you can, talk to patients who have had work done by these providers. And then also, just like we would interview patients, I think patients should interview their providers. Not everyone's always going to be a perfect fit for each provider. So, while I would love if everyone came to us, I think that, there has to be that connection also. And so I think that if you take that approach and you're comfortable with the person, you're comfortable with their work, and they're doing great by you, I think, definitely see them, stick with them. But, you have to, like I said, no patient is cookie cutter, and no physician, no provider is cookie cutter. Find your best match, and you'll eventually get your best outcomes.
Sounds good. Well, there you have it. Dr. Morgan sharing his expertise. Now, Dr. Morgan, where can people contact you and your practice?
So you can contact us at, like you said, yblmedicalgroup.com. And also you can contact us at Bisthetic, so BISTHETIC.com.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks for being on the show and sharing your message.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's fun.
Thanks for listening to the Beauty Talk podcast. Any questions, please contact the practice directly with the contact information provided during the show. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.